This is the episode where The Boys stops being a story about preventing a dictatorship and becomes a story about surviving one. Because by the end of episode 7, America does not feel broken, it feels taken. Homelander is no longer hiding behind power, he is power. The government is collapsing into Vought, religion has turned into propaganda with laser eyes, and the people still trying to fight back are running out of time and running out of each other. Hey, what's up everyone? Come back to Breakdown Epic. Just to let you know, this video will contain spoilers. Now, I am not exaggerating when I say this episode completely changes the shape of the finale. The show has been building toward a darker America for a while, but episode 7 is the point where the mask comes off. This is no longer political manipulation from the shadows. This is direct rule. Homelander is sitting in the Oval Office like the country is already his. And honestly, the scariest part is how quickly everyone around him seems to adapt. Let's start there. The opening image of Homelander in the Oval Office tells you everything before anyone even speaks. The president is still technically present, but he does not feel like the leader anymore. He feels like a man standing too close to a loaded weapon and pretending it is still a meeting. That is what this new America looks like now. The office still exists, the structure still exists, but the meaning is gone. Then Homelander pushes it even further by turning the Democratic Church of America into something official. That is not just another creepy branding move. That is the merger of state power and cult worship. Government and religion stop pretending to be separate. Congress gets pushed aside, the military starts acting like enforcement for belief, and suddenly this is not a democracy with a superhuman influence problem. It is a regime with a mascot who thinks he is a god. And honestly, one of the darkest parts of the episode is how cleanly the system bends around that. Ashley reading the president's mind is a perfect example. The president is terrified. He sees Homelander as unstable, dangerous, unfit, which, congratulations, he finally figured out what the audience knew 5 seasons ago. But the second that thought becomes visible, Homelander kills him. No negotiation, no drama, just instant execution. And then the machine keeps moving. That is the horrifying part. No real pause, no real resistance, just Ashley stepping into the role like this is an HR reshuffle instead of a constitutional collapse. In my opinion, that scene might be one of the most effective political horror moments the show has ever done, because it proves the system does not need to be destroyed to become monstrous. It just needs to stop caring what it is serving. Now, while all of that is happening at the top level, the resistance side of the story is moving in a very different tone. Starlight and linking up with Marie and Jordan should feel like this exciting crossover moment, but the show plays it in a much sadder and smarter way. Annie does not feel triumphant. She feels exhausted. She is no longer speaking like someone building a movement. She is speaking like someone trying to save whoever is left before the fire reaches them too. That shift matters because Starlight has spent so much of this series trying to stand for something bigger than fear, but now even she seems to understand that this is no longer a clean rebellion, it is survival. And I do think Marie's return is important, but personally, I still want the finale to stay emotionally centered on the original Boys cast. Marie can absolutely matter, Jordan can absolutely matter, but the final emotional blows need to land through the people who have spent years being shaped and damaged by Homelander directly. Now let's move to the most painful part of the episode. Frenchie, Kimiko, Sister Sage. This storyline is tragic from start to finish because it is built around sacrifice before the episode even confirms who is going to die. Butcher and Frenchie trying to recreate Soldier Boy power through uranium energy is exactly the kind of desperate Hail Mary this story had to reach eventually. The old plan is dead. The virus is no longer enough, so now the only option left is to build something that can strip Homelander down. And Kimiko becoming the potential weapon is such a brutal choice because her body pays the price immediately. Her healing goes wrong. Her system starts failing in waves. She is suffering every step of the process, and Frenchie has to stand there watching it happen, knowing he is one of the people causing it. That hurts. And weirdly enough, Sister Sage becomes more interesting here than she has in a while. Not because she suddenly turns compassionate, but because Frenchie forces her to confront something her mind alone cannot solve.
Logic can create a weapon. Logic can design a plan, but logic cannot always understand why people keep choosing each other even when it gets them hurt. Frenchie finally gets through to her by making that point. Some victories are built on sacrifice, not efficiency. Then the studio sequence raises the pressure again. At first it feels like a simple infiltration, but once the mind reader starts scanning the audience, the whole scene turns into pure cult horror. Smile the right way, clap the right way, believe the right way, or die. That is the rule now, and it is one of the clearest examples of what Homelander's world really is. Not loyalty, not unity, compliance. Butcher and Huey being captured there is a disaster because it doesn't just put them in danger physically, it exposes information. Huey learns more about how badly Butcher is deteriorating. The enemy learns where Sage is. They learn Kimiko may become a weapon. And suddenly, Homelander is not just ruling the country, he is closing in on the one thing that might still stop him.
Now, I want to go back to Soldier Boy, because his scenes are short but important. He tells Homelander directly that he is not a god. That should not be a huge statement in a sane world. In this world, it is basically a death wish. And it lands exactly the way you would expect. Homelander does not want family if family comes with disagreement. He does not want love if love includes judgment. He wants worship, total and absolute. So he beats Soldier Boy and locks him away again. That moment says everything about Homelander. He did not become more human with power. He became more himself. Then the smaller battle with Shilin and Dognot gives the heroes a rare win. MM and Starlight stepping in to save civilians matters because the episode is otherwise so bleak. You need one moment that reminds you resistance still has a pulse. Shilin not being as durable as expected is a good reveal too, because it reinforces one of the show's oldest ideas. Soups talk big, bleed anyway. But that victory does not last, because Homelander gets the location he needs. And that takes us to Frenchie's final stand. He hides Kimiko and Sage in Zinc because he knows there is no other move left. He stays outside, alone, terrified, but also strangely calm. And honestly, that is what makes his death hit so hard.
Frenchie has spent so much of this series trying to make up for what he has done by protecting broken people, loving damaged people, and trying to become something better than his own guilt. And in the end, that is exactly how he dies, protecting someone else. In my opinion, Frenchie's death is the emotional breaking point of the episode, not just because we lose him, but because it turns the anti-Homelander plan from strategy into revenge. Now, this is not just about stopping a tyrant, it is personal all over again. So, where does that leave the finale? The president is dead, Ashley is a puppet leader, Congress is irrelevant, Soldier Boy is imprisoned, Frenchie is gone, Kimiko is unstable, Butcher is slipping, and Homelander knows there is a possible weapon aimed at him. That is not a setup for a clean ending. That is a setup for war. And I think the final question is no longer whether Homelander can be beaten in a fight. It is whether the people trying to stop him can do it before they become just as monstrous in the process. But anyway, that is my breakdown of The Boys Season 5, Episode 7, and why this episode completely changes the finale. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments, do you think Kimiko can actually become the weapon that stops Homelander? Or is Butcher still being set up as the final monster of the story? I will catch you in the next one.